Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Khalid Ahmad Khatak and I'll be teaching you this course about Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. These are the first three introductory lessons before we start into practical aspects of this course. So the intended learning of this course is that by the end of this course you should be able to know about the rules of the Tajweed and how to implement them. So that's theoretical part and the practical part. Who is this course for? It is basically for anyone who wants to learn Quran with Tajweed rules. You can be of any age, gender, new Muslim, so there's no restriction on it. The books I have used for this course are these ones. These first four books, they are basically for Tajweed rules. That's the theoretical part. This one is mainly for reading and writing, and the final one is Al-Qaeda-e-Jariyah, that's for practical part. So I will put the links to all those books in the video description for you if you want to buy them. My teachers, so I've learned Tajweed from a few teachers. The first one is Qari Abdul Rahman, second one Ustad Khalid Sadat, next one was Ustad Ahmad Abdul Wahab, and the reading and writing aspects Sheikh Abu Amina Bilal Philip. May Allah bless them all. The way I've structured this course is that apart from these three introductory lessons, I have followed the structure of the Al-Qaeda-e-Jariyah. So Al-Qaeda-e-Jariyah, it has about 17 lessons. So each lesson I have divided into sub-lessons to make it easy for you, to make it small chunks instead of very big lesson. So for example, this is the lesson number 1, and I will be dividing this into like 1.1, 1.2. Each letter will have one short lesson, so to make it easy for you to learn it, inshaaAllah. Prerequisites. There are no prerequisites for this course. As long as you understand my explanation in English, you can start it. You can start with this course. So there is no prerequisites for this course. It is very important to learn Quran with the Tajweed rules and teach Quran as well. We can see the importance of them from these two sources. The first one is خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. The Prophet ﷺ said, the best amongst you are those who learn the Quran and teach it. The second one is الماهر بالقرآن مع السفرة الكرام البررة والذي يقرأ القرآن ويتتعتع فيه وهو عليه شاق له أجران. The Prophet ﷺ said, the one who is proficient in reciting the Quran will be with the obedient messengers, and that is the angels. And the one who recites the Quran but stutters in it, and it is difficult upon him, will have 2 rewards. So basically, if you are good at it, you will be rewarded for it, and if you struggle with it, you will be rewarded for it. So this is the end of the first introductory lesson. Until we will see you in the next second part of this introductory lesson, and welcome back to the second part of introductory lesson sessions to Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rule. So what is Tajweed? Tajweed we can have 2 meanings. First one is linguistically, it means excellence and precision. But when we use it in Islamic terminology, it means that the recitation of the Quran, the way it was revealed to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ through Angel Jibreel alayhi. If you go more specifically, that means reciting every letter with its due rights, its characteristics, how it is pronounced from each makhraj. So that's specific if you go in more detail. Principle of Tajweed. There are 4 principles of Tajweed. The first one is you should know the articulation points of each letter, where they are pronounced from. The second one is the characteristics, the sifat of each letter. The third one is the rules that are attached to each letter when it comes in context where they are placed in a word. So you will see that each letter has a rule, and when you place it in different position, then the rules change. So that's the third one. and the fourth one is exercising the tongue and a lot of repetition. So by the end of this course, you will see that we will have a lot of repetition of different lessons to become a master in Tajweed. So if we come to Arabic reading and writing, unlike English, in English what we have is we write and read from left to right, but in Arabic we write or read from right to left. And in English we have one form of each letter. So if it's in the middle or in the beginning or on its own, it's just one form. But in Arabic is different. We have if a letter is written independently, it's one form. If it's written in the beginning of a word, it's another form. It's in the middle and the end. So we will see that in future lessons. We can classify we can give a classification to Arabic alphabet. This is one of the classifications. So we can have multiple classification depending on different properties, but this is one of them. We can have connectors and non-connectors. So the connectors are those letters where you can connect other letters with it from before or after it. So those are the connectors. Whereas non-connectors, you can connect some letters. We can connect letters before it, but not after it. So you don't need to know these right now in detail, but we will be going through each one by one in future lessons. This is maybe a bit more explanation. We have connecting forms, as I explained before. So you have, for example, this is the first letter of Arabic alphabet. You have alif, and that's when it's not connected with any other letter on its own. It looks like this in the beginning because it is non-connector. So it is the same as if it's unconnected. If you see in the middle, it has different structure than this one, and at the end similarly. So similarly, if you see another one which are connectors, then you have, when it is on its own, it has one structure. When you see in the beginning of a word another structure, in the middle another structure, and at the end another structure. So we will, you don't need to know this right now. We will be discussing one by one in future sessions. Okay, that's the whole next one. Okay, so I have another table for sounds and terminal symbols. So that should help you if you are interested, if you're reading Quran with some help in transliteration, or if you're doing research in related to Quran. Then these are the tables I have developed, and you see the similar tables in those books that I have mentioned in my first part of introductory session, but I have changed some of them because I felt those representation are better than those are represented in those books. So you will see small differences in my tables and those books. Again, you don't need to know them right now. We will be discussing one by one in future sessions. So this is the end of the second part of introductory session. We will see you in the next one. Welcome back to the third part of introductory sessions to Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. What are makharij? Makharij are basically articulation points. It's a plural of makhraj. Makhraj is a singular articulation point. So the scholar of Tajweed have divided this into 5 sections. If you see the first one, see here. So that's the first one. So make it red. Okay, that's one. Another one. There's another one. As another one, and the empty space that's the 5 different sections. So if you see another diagram, that's like a more realistic one. So you see the tongue here, the nasal passage here, the lips are here, the throat, and the empty space in the throat, in the mouth. So we will be discussing that one by one. The first makhraj, as we said, is al-jawf. Al-jawf is the empty space in the mouth and the throat. So that's the empty space this one and this one here. That's the empty space, not the sides of the mouth and the throat, but actually the empty space in the throat. That's the first makhraj, articulation point, is called al-jawf. The second one is, okay, you can see that the first one here as well. You can see that here as well. This is the first, the empty space. Similarly here, different representation, just in case someone struggled to understand this one, so I have done different representation. Okay. The second one is al-halq, as the throat. That's the second articulation point, and it is actually this one, this part. So that's the second articulation point. You can see here as well. Okay, and we will discuss that in detail when we come to the letters of the halq, the throat. Okay, the next one, the third one is al-lisan, the tongue. The tongue, that is this one. You see here we have, that's another articulation point, so we have letters of pronouns from there, and you can see in this diagram as well. That's the tongue. That's the third articulation point. The fourth one is al-shafatan, the two lips. Two lips, that's the, you can see here. You can see here in this diagram, that's two lips, and similarly here, that's the fourth articulation point. And the fifth one is al-khayshum. Al-khayshum is the nasal passage, so that place here, that's the fifth articulation point. We will discuss each one in detail when we come to discussing the letters of those articulation points. There are three levels of articulation, reciting the Quran, three levels. The first one is called at-tahqiq. That's when you recite Quran slowly with serenity. That's the best one. The second one is al-hadar. That's very swift and very fast recitation of Quran, but you have to observe the Tajweed rules with all of them, but it's just the speed difference. So that is the first one. Tahriq is slow with serenity. The second one is al-hadar, which is very fast, quick. The third one is called at-tadbir. That is in between the tahqiq and hadar. So this is the medium speed. The first one is slow, and the second one is very fast, and the third one is medium. With all of them, you have to observe the Quran with its Tajweed rules. So we can do another classification of the Arabic letters depending on the two properties, which is, one is called tafkhim, that is heaviness, and the other one is called tarqiq, that is lightness. So we have a different letter. We have some letters which have only one property, that is either they are heavy, another one or light, and some few of them they have both, depending on the situation where they're used. So we will be discussing those in detail when we discussing individual letters. This is just a table. Just in addition to that is the basic difference in light and heavy letters is that when you pronounce light letters, normally your mouth remains flat, or like as if you start to smile. So that's to do with light letters. But with heavy, you don't have that. It's different. We will be discussing that in future. But another advice would be, whenever you learning Tajweed, then you have to look at the teacher's mouth a lot and see how he moves different muscles. So you have to look at the mouth a lot. Okay, different tables. So there are two types of errors that we may commit during recitation of the Quran. That's why it's very important that we learn the Tajweed rules to avoid both of them. The first one is called obvious and clear mistakes. That's lahnun jalli zahir. It's one of the example would be, for example, if you replace complete one letter with another one, so you completely say the wrong letter. And it can be detected by average reciter who knows just basic rules of Tajweed, and it's dangerous as well. Most of the time it changes the meaning of the word. The second one is called obscured or hidden mistakes. Lahnun khafiyyun mustatir. It it is normally detected by a professional reciter. Most of the time it's very difficult for average reciter to detect this one. Mostly it doesn't change the meaning of the letter of the word, but we actually deprive Quran recitation from its actual recitation. So it's very important that we try our best to avoid both of them. So this is the end of the third introductory session for Qur'anic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. From next one we will be discussing individual letters, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session for Qur'anic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this lesson we will study the first letter of Arabic alphabet, but before that we have to just read this out. We're not going to explain that bit because it's going to be too advanced, so we're going to just introduce this one. Bismillah. There's these parts, and we will discuss this one, the first Arabic alphabet, in detail. So when I'm reciting, you can observe the movements of my lips and the muscles of my mouth. That's the best way to learn Tajweed. So whenever you're learning from the teacher, you have to observe the movements of the mouth, the lips and the mouth muscles. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Go to the next. Bismillah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الدرس الأول. الدرس الأول. That means الدرس means lesson, and أول means the first. That's the first lesson. حروف الهجاء المفردة. حروف الهجاء المفردة. حروف means letters. هجاء alphabet, and مفردة individual alone. So that means this lesson is about individual letters of Arabic alphabet. The first letter of Arabic alphabet is called Alif. That's the name of the letter, and its sound is it is a long vowel when the letter before it has a fatha. We will explain that in next few slides. Okay. So Alif has multiple uses, and the one is when it is used as a long vowel. So when it is used as a long vowel, its articulation point is al-jawf. That's the empty space between in the mouth and the throat. So this is the empty space in the mouth and the throat. The size of the mouth and the throat doesn't touch when we pronouncing it. It's the empty space that's the main cause of it. You can see in other diagrams. So that is the makhraj. Similarly, that one as well. And here, this one probably is better. So this place, that is the makhraj of alif when it is used as a long vowel. As long vowel is 2 counts. 2 counts. I'll explain that in next slides. Okay, so in brief, whenever we use alif as a long vowel, then its articulation points are the empty space in the mouth and the throat. Okay, so next we have the classification. So is it a heavy letter or a light? So it is both, but depends on the situation. For example, if the letter before it is heavy, then the sound of alif would be heavy. But if the letter before it is light, then the sound of alif would be light. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is a non-connector. By that I mean, if you see the connecting forms, so this one is when a letter is a non-connecting letter, that means that you can't have anything connected to that letter after it. If it comes in the beginning of a word, you can connect something before it when it's in the middle of the word, but you can't connect after it. So you can't connect after it, okay? You can connect something before it. So that's before it. You can't connect, okay, that's the beginning anyway. So in non-connectors, you can't connect letters after it when it comes in the middle, and similarly if it's in the beginning, you can't connect it after it. Okay, how to write it? A single horizontal stroke from top to bottom, and it rests on the line. Okay, before drawing it, I will explain the lines. Whenever we write Arabic letters, words, then it's actually written between two lines, but this one is an imaginary line. By that I mean, if you go to this one, so that imaginary line, if you see here, let's suppose, for example, we have one line here. So let's see, this whole text is written between two lines. Let's suppose this one and this one, and this imaginary line, if you notice that every letter, this is like, this is the imaginary line. That's why it says is rest on imaginary line. So if you see this alif, it rests on there, alif is rest on there, alif is rest on there. So you don't see this imaginary line in the real text, but it is there. So this is what I mean, this imaginary line. Okay, if I explain with another color, that would probably, so this is imaginary line, you can see here. Okay, so whenever we explain that a letter will be resting on the line, this imaginary line, this is what I mean. Okay, go to the next one. Okay, how to write it? It's single horizontal stroke from top to bottom. So you start like this, that's it, and it rests on the line. If you have the alif in the beginning, it's the same as if it is unconnected. Okay, alif. If it is in the middle, if you see here, there's a connecting point before here, so it's written like this. You basically you will be writing some other letters, and then you connect to that, so it's like this. Similarly at the end, like this, so you can connect something before it. Okay, and it rests on the line. Okay, so what is the equivalent of alif when it is a long vowel in English? It is actually the long A in the word father. So this is equivalent father. The sound of this A in father is equivalent to alif as when it is used as a long vowel. Okay. So what is the transliteration sign for a long vowel, alif, when it is long vowel? Okay, so we have, okay, so it is long vowel only if the letter before it has a fatha. So what is a fatha? Fatha is a short vowel. It's written single A, and long vowel is double A. So that means that if a letter has a short vowel, then it is prolonged or lengthened for one count. But if it has attached to long vowel, then it has to be twice of the short vowel, and this is what is called in English, in Arabic, fatha. So fatha is single count, and long vowel alif as a long vowel has two counts. So when I say count, that means, it doesn't mean 1 second. It's actually, count is the time you give to each letter when pronouncing a word in Arabic. Can be 1 second or less than 1 second. So it's actually depending on your speed. If your speed is slow, then the count will be longer. If your speed is fast, the count will be shorter. Okay. Okay, so this is the sign we use for long vowel, and that's for short vowel. And then the fatha is called, this sign is called fatha. This sign is called fatha. Okay. Okay, so this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying the second letter of Arabic alphabet, and that is called Ba. Its sound is B. Its articulation points. Its articulation point is the lips. This one, okay. Shafatan, 2 lips. That's its articulation point. Okay. Is it a light or heavy? It is a light letter. Okay. For example, when we are pronouncing it, then our mouth, our lips remain flat. For example, ba, when it have fatha or kasra on it, then it's pronounced as ba. So it's the mouth remains flat. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is a connector. By that, I mean that when you see its connecting form, for example, in the here, if it's unconnected or separate, then it's written like this. But when it comes in the beginning of a word, then you can see you can connect things, other letters after it. And if it comes in the middle, then you can connect you can connect other letters before or after it. And if it comes at the end, then you can connect that as well. So if you see with connecting letters, you can connect from both sides when it comes in the middle of a word. Okay. How to write it? Let me read it out quickly, and then we do the practical bit. So it is written with a single stroke, okay, and it begins from the right with a slight curve. It begins from the right with a slight curve, downward horizontal stroke, so like this, okay, followed by a vertical, that's the vertical part, vertical extension, and ending and an upward slightly curved horizontal stroke, giving, okay, the slightly curved horizontal stroke giving canoe-like shape. It has one dot underneath and it rests on the line. So let me do practically now. Okay, let me do practically. That's okay. If it's written like this, so you start from here like this. That's it. That's if it's written on its own. If it's written in the beginning, it is written like this. Remember, it rests on the line. Okay, the imaginary line we explained in the previous session. So if it's in the beginning, we write it like this. Okay. This means that we can connect other letters with it. If you connect it, if you write it in the middle, it looks like this. Okay, by here. And if it is at the end, we write it like this. Okay, so if we see another one, we actually can connect these ones together. For example, if you connect these two and these two parts, so now you can see the back can be written in the beginning, can be written in the middle, and at the end. So you can see this example, and that's why it's called connecting letter, because it can be written from both sides with other letters. Okay. English equivalent, is the same as we use B in English. So as English equivalent for ba in English is B. Okay. For transliteration purposes, we use a consonant. That's B sound for it. Okay. It is a consonant, and we use the consonant in English B for it to represent it in transliteration. That's the end of this session, and we will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Qur'anic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session we will study the third letter of Arabic alphabet, that is called Ta, and its sound is T. Okay, and what is its makhraj, articulation point? It is top part of the tip of the tongue and the gum line of the two top incisors. So we need to explain that first. Before going to that, we have to explain the tongue itself. Okay, so what we can do, if you see, the tongue can be divided in multiple parts. So if you see here, this one is, that's the tip of the tongue, that's the tip of the tongue. Okay, and if you see, let me change the color. Okay, that fine. Okay, if you see here, this part is, that's the top of the tip, that's the top of the tongue. So the first one is the tip of the tongue, and the next one is the top of the tongue, and from there to there, for example, is, let's see, this is the tip of the tongue. This one is the middle part, that's the middle part of the tongue, and this one is the deepest part of the tongue. And if you see, these are the sides. So we can divide tongue into multiple parts. The first one is, let me write again, show it. The first one is called the tip of the tongue. Second one is the top, the top part of the tongue. This one is the middle part of the tongue, and this one is the deepest part of the tongue. And we have the sides of the tongue, because all these parts will be used in future sessions, so that's why you need to know this. Okay, so what we said here, okay, we said the top part of the tip of the tongue. So this is the top part of the tip of the tongue. So if you see a tongue has three parts. One is the front, and the front of the tip, the top side of the tip, and the underneath. So we will be using for this particular alphabet the top part of the tip of the tongue, okay, and the gum line of the, this is the gum line, you see here, of the top incisors. So these two teeth are called incisors. That's the top incisors, and opposite to them are the bottom incisors. So for this one we use the top part of the tip of the tongue and the gum line. This is the gum line of the top two incisors. Okay, you can see here in this diagram as well. So we use the top part of the tip of the tongue, and we use the gum line of the top two incisors. Okay, let me explain further with the 3D model. That would be, let's see, explain that. Okay. So if we go here, see, there you go. Okay, so as we explained earlier, okay, so can you see here, this part is the tip of the tongue, that is the top side of the tip, and this is the underneath side. So we will be using the top side, the top side of the tongue. Okay, so that's the top side of the tip of the tongue, top side of the tip of the tongue. Okay, so I think that's the best explanation. So you can see from the top or the side. Yes, this is better explanation. So see, this is the tip of the tongue, and we will be using the top side of the tip of the tongue. So this part will touch, if you see this one here. So that's okay. This one, look. So this is the top incisors, these two, and this bit, the top side of the tip of the tongue, will touch this area. So that's basically the articulation point for ta. Okay, I hope this will help you to understand properly. Okay, go back. Next one, is it a light letter or heavy letter? It is a light letter. So whenever we're pronouncing it, our lips, mouth should remain flat. Ta, ta. So as if we are going to start smiling. Ta. Okay. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is a connector. It is a connector. Why? Because if you see its connecting forms, then that will prove that it is a connecting. Okay, that can prove that it is a connecting letter. What happens with the connecting letter is you can connect before or after with its middle, when it comes in the middle of a letter. So when it is written as separate, it looks like this, and if it's in the beginning, then you can connect other letters after it. If it is in the middle, then you can connect other letters with it before it and after it. If it comes at the end of a word, then it can connect other letters before it. So it is a connecting letter. How it is written. So if you see, this is exactly the same way it's written as ba, but we still go just explain it briefly, and then we will do practical part. So it is written with a single stroke, single stroke, and it begins from the right with a slightly curved downwards. So it begins with the right, slightly curved downwards, horizontal stroke, and followed by a vertical extension. That's vertical extension, ending in upward words. Okay, vertical extension, ending upward, slightly curved. Okay, if you see that one, it's slightly curved, and it's horizontal. The horizontal stroke giving is a canoe-like shape as well. This is the canoe-like shape. It has two dots on top of it, and again this one rests on the line as well, the imaginary line. Sorry, we haven't written it down. Practical, how to write it. If it's in that state, you start like this, one line, two lines. One, two. It stays on the line. If it's in the beginning, so yes, two dots, one, two. One, two. If it's written in the beginning, okay. If it's in the middle, okay, and if it is at the end. Okay, can we connect them? Yes. If you see here, you can connect this one here, this one there. Okay, so if we just make one word from it, so that would be there. Yeah, now you can connect it like this. Okay. Okay, the equivalent of ta is the consonant T. It's not the same, but it has similar sound to it, because it's a bit harsh if you say T, but it's quite similar, Okay, so for transliteration purposes, we use the T sound, T from English letters. Okay. And that's it. That's the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will study the fourth letter of Arabic alphabet, tha, and the sound is. It's very difficult to hear, but it's when we connect them with other letters, it's gonna be okay. Okay. So what are the makharij? Or the makhraj is the tip of the tongue from the top side of the tip and the bottom edges of the two top incisors. So let me explain that to you. Okay. The tip of the tongue from the top side. So that's the tip of the tongue, as we explained in the previous. That's the tip of the tongue, but we take the top side of the tip of the tongue and it says the bottom edges of the two top incisors. So we have two incisors here, and they are going to be connected, touching the top the tip of the tongue from the top side. Okay, so they will be connecting like this. Okay, so you can see here, so that's the tip of the tongue from the top side, and this is the connecting point of the top two incisors. Okay, so I will explain that in next slide with the 3D model, so that will make it easy for you. Okay, let's see. Okay, go there. Okay, so if we see here, okay, that's our tongue, and let me make this as well. So this is our mouth, and see, this is, okay, these are the top two incisors. Okay, so if you see here, this is the tip of the tongue, and we're going to using the top side of the tip of the tongue, and that is going to be connecting, touching these two, the two incisors, the tip of the two incisors. So that's that's what makes the sound the. Okay, I hope this will make it easy for you. Okay, let's see. Again, let's see from the different angle, and this different angle as well. Okay, so that's the tip of the tongue, and we're going to be using the top part, this bit, top part of the tip of the tongue, and we're going to be the tongue is going to be touching the top side of the top two incisors. Okay. So back to slides. Okay, so is it a light or heavy letter? It is a light letter. So whenever we are going to pronounce it, with pronunciation, our lips and the mouth should remain flat. The. So with heavy letters, it won't be like this, but with light letters, our mouth remain flat. The, and most of the letters are light. Okay, the. Next one is, okay, is it a connector or non-connector? It is a connector. Why? Because if you see its connecting form, it can be connected with other letters when it comes in the beginning. Similarly, if it comes in the middle, so then you can connect other letters with it before or after it. Okay, so you can connect other letters here, that's correct. You can connect here before or after, and you can connect before when it comes at the end. Okay, and it looks like this when it is not connected with any letters at all. How it is written, it's exactly same as we wrote ta and ba, except the dots are 3 in this case. We still go through and just read it out. So it is written with a single stroke. Okay, written with a single stroke. It begins from the right with a slightly curved. Okay, it begins with the right. So as we know, we have to write from right to left in Arabic. So it begins from right with slightly curved. Okay, downwards horizontal stroke followed by a vertical. So that's horizontal stroke, and then followed by a vertical curve, slightly curved. Okay, ending with an upward slightly curved horizontal stroke. So this stroke gives it a shape like canoe-like shape. Okay, it has 3 dots above it. Okay, and it rests on the line, similar to ba and ta. Okay, if it's written separate, unconnected with any other letter, so we write like, okay, sorry, red color. See, 1, 2, 3. If it's written in the beginning, okay, 1, 2, 3. If it's written in the middle, 1, 2, 3. If it's written at the end, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we can connect them for here. Connect this bit. Okay, and if you write it like this, okay, because it is a connector, so you can see they can keep it can be connected from before or after. Okay. Okay, English language equivalent. It is like th in the word thin, 3, or bath. So that's the equivalent of English sounds for th in Arabic. And that for transliteration purposes we will be using th. Okay. That's the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be studying the 5th letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Jim, and its sound is J. Okay, Jim and sound is J. Okay, so the articulation points for Jim is the middle of the tongue and the roof of the mouth that lies opposite to it. So that is the middle of the tongue, yeah, and the roof of the mouth that opposite to the middle of the tongue. That's the articulation point. You can see in another diagram. So that is the middle of the tongue. Change it. Okay, that's the middle of the tongue, and this bit is the opposite to the middle of the tongue. Okay. Okay. So let me explain that with 3D model. Okay. Okay. Let's go there. So first let's go there. Okay, and similarly here. Okay. Okay, so the middle of the tongue would be, that's the middle of the tongue. Okay, you can see here, it's the middle of the tongue. Okay, this area. And if we change that one, see the roof. Okay. Okay. So the articulation point, the middle of the tongue, and you can see the roof of the mouth that is opposite to the middle of the tongue. So this area, that is the articulation point for Jim, J sound. Okay. Okay, back to the slides. Okay. So is it a light or heavy letter? It is a light letter. So when we are pronouncing it, our lips and mouth remain flat. For example, aj, jim, jim, aj. Okay, so it's a light letter. Next one, is it a connector or non-connector? It is a connector. Why? Because if you see its connecting forms, then you will see that it is a connecting letter. Because if it comes in the beginning of a letter, of a word, if it comes in the beginning of a word, then you can connect other letters with it after it. If it comes in the middle of the word, then you can connect other letters with it before it and after it. And if it comes at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it. Okay, so that's why it is a connecting letter. How it is written? So it has kind of two parts. has the top part and the bottom one. So the top part rests on the line. Okay, this is the imaginary line. The top parts rest on the line and the bottom parts under the line. Okay, and one dot inside it. So now we will draw it, so we will explain that. Okay, say the top part rests on the line, so you start like this. Okay, let me change the color. Okay, right. That's the top part, and you just carry on the down part. Okay, and middle, and there's one dot in the middle. So the top part rests on the line and the bottom under the line, and there's one dot inside it. Let me write the different forms. Okay, if you're writing this form, the beginning form, it stays on the line, because we have to just write the first part, the top part, not the lower one. So it looks like this. Okay, it's Jim. If it's in the beginning, if it is in the middle, it looks like this. Okay, so that's Jim. It's a middle, so you can connect before or after. If it is at the end, it looks like this. Okay, Jim. So can we connect them? Yes, we can. Can you see here? We can connect this with this one, this with this one, because it's connecting letter. So let's suppose we write it as a one word. That would be like this. Okay, okay. So this is in all three forms, and this is the fourth one that's unconnected. Okay. So what is there an equivalent in English? Yes, there is. For example, the J sound, as in judge, that's the equivalent in English for Jim. And for transliteration purposes, we will be using the sound J, or the letter consonant J. Okay, this is the end of this session. We will see you in the next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session, what we will be studying the sixth letter of Arabic alphabet. Okay, and it is called Ha. That's one of the throat letters, and the sound is H. The letter is Ha, and the sound is H. Okay, coming from the throat. Okay, so what is its makhraj? It comes from the middle of the throat. So basically, the throat has 6 letters, from the farthest from the mouth, the middle, and the nearest to the mouth. And this one is from the middle of the throat. It is produced with the base. Okay, so let me explain this to you. Okay, it is produced with the base of the tongue near the back of the mouth. So the base of the tongue, that's the base. You see here, that's the base of the tongue here, and base of the tongue. Okay, near the back of the throat. So it comes near the back of the throat and strongly constricting the wall. Okay, and then if you see here, the wall is constricted compared to other situation, and tensing the tongue, and the tongue is tense. And okay, we see the sound is ha, ha. Okay, it's very difficult to pronounce for some people, and especially if for English, because there's no this equivalent letter or sound in English. Okay, so again, it is one of the throat letters. It is pronounced from the middle of the throat. Okay, next slide. Okay, is it heavy or light? It is a light letter. So by pronouncing it, when we pronounce it, our mouth, lips remain flat. For example, ha, sound. Okay, next one is it a connector or non-connector? It is a connector. Why? Because if you see its connecting form, that suggests that it is a connector. You see, in the if it comes in the beginning of a word, it can be connected to another word next to it. If it comes in the, okay, so here you can connect another letter with it, and if it comes in the middle of the word, then you can connect letter before it and after it, and if it is at the end of the word, you can connect letters before it. That's why that is why it is a connector. Okay, how to write it? Similar to Jim, it has two parts. The top part rests on the line, imaginary line, and the bottom one under the line. It has no dots inside it. How do we write it? It's practical. Let's see. Practice it. If it's written on its own, it's like this. Okay, that's on its own. If it's written in the beginning of a word, then it's like this. If it is written in the middle, okay, and if it is at the end, okay, and can we connect them? Yes, we can. Connect these parts. Sorry, this one. Let me write it down as a connector, connecting form. Okay, so that's, you can connect them before. You can connect it with other letters before or after it. Okay. It doesn't have English equivalent at all, so we can't use any sound from English. But for transliteration purposes, I have used H underscore, because I'll be using H only for another letter. So I'm using H underscore for transliteration purposes. Okay, so this is the end of this session. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session we will be studying the 7th letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Kha, and the sound is Kh. So the letter is called Kha and the sound is Kh. Okay. What is its articulation point? It is one of the throat letters. So from throat we have 6 letters, and Kha is one of it. Let me explain this. It is the nearest part. If you see here, the nearest part. So we have 1, 2, 3 different places where from each place 2 different letters are pronounced, and this is the nearest. That's the nearest part of the throat to the mouth. Okay, that's the articulation point. And how it is pronounced is, it is produced by narrowing the passageway between the back of the tongue. Okay, that's the back of the tongue, and the velum. This is called velum. This one, you can see this one. Okay, the velum. To create friction. To create friction as the air passes through. So it is comes near to each other, and when the air passes through, it creates the sound. Okay. Okay. So again, if we go through again, it is produced by narrowing the passageway between the back of the tongue. That's the back of the tongue, and the velum. That's the velum. And when they create a friction as the air passes through. Okay, and this is the articulation point for Kha, or the sound Kh. Is it heavy or light? It is heavy. So that's the first heavy letter. So far we've been studying light letters. So if you notice, when I am pronouncing it, Kha, so it's my mouth, it doesn't remain flat, or the sound Kh, so it doesn't remain flat. Next one is it a connector or a non-connector? It is a connector, similar to other letters like before it, and that's Ha and Jim. Why? Because you can see that in this slide here. If you see its connecting form, that suggests that when on its own it's written like this, but if you see here, if it's written in the beginning of a word, then you can connect other letters with it after it, and if it comes in the middle of the word, then you can connect letters before it or after it. If it comes at the end of a word, then you can connect letters before it. So that's why it's called a connector, because you can connect from both sides in the middle and from this side in the beginning. Okay. How to write it? It's written similar to the way we explain in for ha and jim, but still we just go through it again. It is its top part remains on the line and the bottom part under the line, and it has one dot above it. Let me explain it to you practically how to do it. Okay. So if it's written separately on its own, okay, and one dot on top, that's how if it's written on its own. If it is written in the beginning of a word, it's written like this. Okay. If it is written in the middle, okay. If it is written at the end, okay. So can we connect them? Yes, because it is a connector. So you can connect this one, that one. Let me write it down again. Okay. So, okay. That's how it is written. Okay, so it doesn't have English equivalent. Okay. And for transliteration purposes, we will be using the word KH to represent kh in English. And that is the end of this session, and we will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be studying the 8th letter of Arabic alphabet, that is called Dal. The sound is D. And okay, so what is the articulation point? It says top part of the tip of the tongue and the gum line of the two top incisors. So if you see, that is quite similar to the one we have studied before, like that, but the difference, okay, the difference would be the sifat that causes a difference in the two different letters. Okay, so let me explain that to you. Top part, let me touch it down. Top part of the tip of the tongue. So if this is the tip and this is the top part of the tip, okay, and it says the gum line of the two top incisors. So this is 1, 2, we have two incisors, and this is the gum line. Okay, so the top part of the tip of the tongue and the gum lines of the top two incisors, when we're pronouncing dal, that's where the sound come from. Okay, you can see in the other diagram. So that's the top part of the tip of the tongue, and this is the gum line for the top two incisors. Let me explain this into in 3D model. And next slide. Okay, just the one. Okay. Okay. So let me clear this. Okay, as we have the mouth, the tongue. Okay, I come to this diagram. Okay. So this is the tip. Okay, as we have this is the tip, and we say it's the top of the tip of the tongue, so we will be using the top part of the tip of the tongue. That's the top part, and it's the two incisors, top incisors, the gum line. Okay, so the gum line of the top two incisors. So the tip of the tongue, the top part of the tip of the tongue, and the gum lines of the top two incisors as the makhraj, as the articulation point for dal. Okay, back to slide. Okay, so is it a light or heavy letter? It is a light letter, and when we are pronouncing it dal, then our mouth and the lips remain flat. Dal. And is it a connector or non-connector? It is a non-connector. Why? Because if you see its connecting forms, that shows that it is. So if it's written independently, it's like this. If it's written in the beginning of a, it is written in the beginning of, right, it is written in the beginning, it's similar to as if it is written individually, because the reason is we cannot write anything after it when it comes in the beginning. Clean this again. So we cannot write any other letters. We cannot connect any other letters after it when it comes in the beginning of a word. If you see here, when it is in the middle of a word, we can connect other letters with it, before it, but we cannot connect other letters with it after it. And similarly, we can connect other letters with it. We can connect other letters with it when it comes at the end of the word. So it is a non-connector because we cannot connect the words here and the words the letters here and the letters here. Okay. So how to write it? It is written with a single curved stroke from the top to bottom, rests on the line. So let me write it down, explain that one. Okay, it is written with a single curved line. So if it's written on its own, it's like this. Okay, and if it's written in the beginning, it's similar to that one as well. Okay, and it's rests on the line. Okay, in the middle, it's like this, and in the end, it's like the same as this one. Okay. Okay. English equivalent, it is similar to D. It's not the same, but it's similar to D. That's the English equivalent. And for transliteration purposes, we will be using D to represent it in English for the sound. And that's it for this session. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be studying the ninth letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Dhal. The sound is th. The letter is called Dhal and the sound is th. Okay. Okay, what are the makharij? So the main makhraj is the tongue. So it is pronounced from the tip of the tongue, from the top side of the tip, and the bottom edges of the top incisors is similar to the one we studied. Okay, it's quite similar to that one. It's actually same makhraj, but the characteristic, the sifat, is different. So that's why we have different sound. Okay. So what we do is we explain that first. Right. Okay. So the tip of the tongue. So we have, this is the tip, and we have the top side. So we take the top side of the tip of the tongue and the bottom edges and they are touching the bottom edges of the top two incisors when we are pronouncing them. Okay. If you see another diagram, so that's the top side of the tip of the tongue, and this one is the bottom edges of the two top incisors. Okay, so what we'll do, I'll explain this in 3D model, so I think that will make it a bit more clear. Okay, see. Let's see. Okay. So this is the tip of the tongue, yeah, and we will, okay, at the top part of the tip of the tongue, that will be touching the bottom edges of the front top two incisors when we are pronouncing the word dal. Okay, so that's it. Okay, and come back to okay. So is it a light or heavy letter? It is a light letter. When I'm pronouncing it, dal, so my mouth remains flat, or as if I'm going to start smiling. Dal, sound, dal. Okay. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is a non-connector. Why? Because if you see the connecting forms, that suggests that it is a non-connector. This is how it is written on its own. If it's written in the beginning of a word, it can't take any other letters after it. Sorry, it can't take it as okay. If it's written in the middle, it can take something before it. It can take a letter before it, but not after it. And if it's written at the end, it can take letters before it. That's why it's a non-connector. Okay. So how it is written? It is written like dal, but with one dot. It is written with a single curved stroke from top to bottom. Single curved stroke from top to bottom. One dot above it, as one dot above it, and it rests on the line. Okay, that's the imaginary line. And let me do it practically. Okay, so that's the situation. If it's written on its own, then if it's in the beginning, it's same as if it's written on its own. Down again. Then okay. If it's written in the middle, okay. If it's written, okay, so this is extra bit. This should be there. Let me write it down again. And if it's written at the end, okay, okay, okay. For transliteration purposes, we will be using th underscore, because we already been using th for tha, but for dal we will be using a th underscore, and English equivalent is a th, as in the word of that, or whether, or bathe. Okay, so these are the English equivalent for the word dal, or the sound okay. So this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be studying the 10th letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Ra, and the sound is R. As repetition, Ra, the sound is R. Okay, so what is the articulation point? Let me explain that. Okay, so the articulation point is the tip of the tongue from the top side of the tip and the gums of the top two incisors. That's the articulation point. Okay, explain that to you. Okay, so the tip of the tongue from the top side. So again, this is okay, this is the tip of the tongue, but we will be using the top side of the tip of the tongue, and that will be touching when we're reciting the Ra, will be touching the gums of these top two incisors. Okay, this place, that's the Ra articulation point. And the tongue is positioned in different situation, because Ra is heavy at times and other time is light. So it's actually both, it has both properties. Sometime it will be heavy, other times it will be light. We will discuss that in future. But when it is light, the position of the tongue is different than when it is heavy. You can see that from the image here. Okay. How it is produced? It is produced by tapping the tip of the tongue behind the upper teeth. So it is produced by tapping the tip of the tongue behind the upper teeth, and it is a trill. Means a rapid succession of several flaps. Okay, r, r. Okay. Okay, let me explain that in 3D. Okay, so we have the tip of the tongue, but we will be using the top part of the tip of the tongue with these are the top two incisors, and they will be touching these gum lines of the top two incisors, the flapping. R, r, okay. Back to slides. Okay. So is it a heavy letter or light? As I explained before, it is heavy sometimes and light other times. Okay. So it is heavy when the letter before it has fatha or dhamma, and it is light when it has the letter before it has kasra. It has other rules and regulation, but we will have separate lesson for that, the properties of ra. But if it's ar, ur, that's heavy. If it's ir, that is light. So if something, for example, if you have hamza fatha, ra, sakun, that's ar, as heavy, ur, as heavy. If it's kasra before that is ir, that is light. Okay, so we will have a complete a lesson on that, the properties of ra. But you notice that with heavy and light, you have the structure, the position of the tongue changes. Okay, if it's light is different, if it's heavy is different. Okay, is it a connector or non-connector? It is a non-connector, as similar to dal or dal. Because if it comes in the beginning of a word, then you cannot connect other letters with it after it. If it comes in the middle of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it, but not after it. And if it comes at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it. Okay, and that's the situation. That's the condition when it is separately written. It looks like this. Okay, how it is written? It is written as a continual stroke which begins above the line and extends below the line. So let me explain that to you practically. So if it's written like this, it starts from here, it comes here. So it starts from it's continuous stroke. It starts from the above the line and it extends below the line. And in all situations it's similar to that. Okay, so in the beginning it looks like this, and in the middle it looks like this. Okay, and at the end it looks like this. Okay, so you can connect all the letters here with it and after it. Okay. Okay, so the sign for transliteration purposes, we use R. Okay, that's the sign for transliteration purpose. And the English equivalent is R. For example, the sound in ring, right? So that's the equivalent for Ra, and R is in English. Okay, that's the end of this session. We will see you next one, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be studying the 11th letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Z, or some people call it Zay as well. The sound is Z. Okay, so the letter is called Z and the sound is Z. Okay, so the makhraj, makhraj is one of the tongue letters. Lisan, that's the main makhraj, and let me go through that and see. Okay, so the tip of the tongue near the inner plates of the top two incisors, that's the tip of the tongue. Okay, that's the tip of the tongue, and near the inner plates of the top two incisors, so near the inner plates. Okay, near the inner plates of top two incisors, and slightly above the lower incisors. Okay, and slightly above the lower incisors. You see here, lower incisors. Okay, that's the lower incisors. Okay, a small space is left between the incisors and the tongue when pronouncing them. Okay, so it's actually the tip of the tongue near the inner plates of the top two incisors, and above the lower incisors. Okay, slightly above the lower incisors. That's the articulation points for the letter Z. Let me go through, let me do it, explain it with 3D model. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, so we have as the tip of the tongue. Okay, tip of the tongue, and that's the inner place near the top incisors. Okay, the top incisors near the inner plate, and slightly above the top, the bottom two incisors. So that's the articulation point for Z. Okay. Okay, back to. So is it light or heavy letter? It is light letter. So when we pronounce it, our mouth or lips should remain flat. For example, Z, Z, Z. Okay, so it is a light letter. And is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the non-connectors. Why? Because if we see its connecting forms, then we can say that it is non-connector, because if you see its state when it is in the beginning of a word, then you can't connect any other letter with it. But if it is in the middle, then you can connect a letter before it, but you can't connect a letter after it. And if it is at the end, you can connect a letter before it. So since you cannot connect letters after it when it is in the beginning or in the middle, therefore it is a non-connector. Okay, so how it is written? It is written it's like a Ra, so similar to that, but it has one dot on top of it, which is still we'll go through again. It is written as a continuous stroke which begins above the line and extends below it. So it has one dot above it. Let me write it down practically so we can see. Okay, so it is written as a continuous stroke, and it starts above the line and extends below the line. Okay, and one dot on top of it. If it is written in the beginning, it looks like as if it is written separately. Okay, Z. If it is written in the middle, it looks like this. And similarly, if it is written at the end, same as well. So we can connect letters here, but not with the other forms. Okay. Okay, English equivalent. Its English equivalent is Z, as in the word zeal. Okay, and for transliteration purposes we will be using Z as a symbol in English for za. So this is the end of this session, and we will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session for Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be learning the 12th letter of Arabic alphabet, that is called Sin. The sound is S. The letter itself is called Sin, Sin, and the sound is S. Okay. It is one of the tongue letters. Al-lisan is the mukhraj for it, articulation point, and it is similar to its articulation point is similar to that of za, but the sifat is different, so that will make a different sound. Okay, I'll just read that through and then explain it practically. The tip of the tongue near the inner plates of the top two incisors. So the tip of the tongue is used. Okay, the tip of the tongue and near the inner plates of the top incisors. That's near the inner plates of top incisors. Okay, and slightly above the lower incisors. That's slightly above the lower incisors. Okay, so a small space is left when we pronouncing Sin. Okay, so between the tongue and the incisors. And we're going back to the 3D model, so that will explain in great detail. Okay. So the tip of the tongue, let's try. Okay, so the tip of the tongue, that's one place, and it is near the inner plates of the top two incisors, and slightly above the lower incisors. Okay, that's the 3 articulation points. Okay, and when we're pronouncing it, as we explained, that there will be a small space left between the tongue and the incisors. Is it a heavy or light letter? It is a light letter. So when we pronouncing the letter Sin, our mouth or the tongue, the lips should remain flat or in the state as if we are going to start smiling. Sin, Sin. Okay. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is a connector. Why? Because if you see its connecting state forms, then we will see that. Okay, if it's written on its own, it looks like this, but if it is written in the beginning of a word, then we can connect other letters with it after it. If it is written in the middle of a word, then we can connect other letters with it, other letters before it and after it. And if it is written at the end of a word, then we can write other letters before it. Okay, which is these are the characteristics of connecting letters. How to write it? It is written like, let me read it out and then we'll explain it. It is written like a cursive W, beginning from the right on the top line, followed by a large circle U written below it. Okay, let me explain that to you. Okay, so it is like this. Okay, beginning from the top, so we have to be above the line. Start from the top, and from the right, we have to start from the right. While writing W, we start from left, but with Arabic we have to start from the right, and followed by a large U cycle, as if this is like U, and it is below the line. Okay. Other states, other forms, if it's written if it is written in the beginning of a word, then it looks like this. Okay, so that in that form it stays on the line. If it is in the middle, that is again stays on the line. If it is in the at the end, then you have to write it like this. Okay, let me connect these. Where can we connect it? Yes, connect that one here. Okay, let me write it as a connecting word. Okay, so that's the beginning part, middle part, end part. Okay. Okay, what is the English equivalent to S? Is high pitch S, as in the word see. So that's similar to seen. The sound S is similar to seen in Arabic. So for transliteration purposes, we will be using this English alphabet S. And that is the end of this lesson. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will study the 13th letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Sheen. Okay, so how to pronounce it? Sheen, and the sound is sh. Okay, it is one of the tongue letters. Lisan is the makhraj for it, and if you see sub makhraj, that would be middle of the tongue and the roof of the mouth that lies opposite to it. So let me explain that. Okay, so middle of the tongue, we have this is the middle of the tongue. Okay, and the roof of the mouth that lies opposite to it. So the roof of the mouth that lies opposite to it. Okay, so that would be the makharij. Similar here, middle of the tongue and the roof. That's middle of the tongue and the roof of the mouth that opposite to the middle of the tongue. Okay, again it says middle and this place. Okay, so let me go to the 3D model and explain it there. Okay, let's see. Okay, so that's probably better. So the middle of the tongue would be this part. Okay, okay, so middle of the tongue, and opposite to that would be this part. Okay, so that is the articulation point for sheen. Okay, so is it light or heavy letter? It is one of the light letters. So when we are pronouncing it, sheen, so our mouth and the lips should remain flat or in the state as if you are going to start smiling. Sheen, sh, sheen, sh. Okay, so is it a connecting letter or non-connecting? It is one of the connecting letters, because if you see its connecting forms, if it is written in the beginning of a letter of a word, then you can connect other letters with it after it. If it is written in the middle, then you can connect other letters with it other letters before it and after it. And if it is written at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters before it. Okay, which is the property of a connecting letter. How to write it? Okay, it is written similar to the previous one, the scene, except that it has 3 dots on top of it. It is written like a cursive W beginning from the right on the line, followed by a large circular U written below it. 3 dots. Okay, let me explain this. Okay, so we start above the line like W, but from the right, and followed by a circular U. Okay, that is below the line, and we have 3 dots. Okay, 3 dots. And if we write the other forms, that would be in the beginning, it would look like this. In the beginning of a word, it would look like this. In the middle of a word, it would look like this, and at the end of the word, it would look like this. Okay, and then you can connect them with each other. So that would be okay. So okay, so that's how we write it if it is in connected word. So the equivalent of it in English is sh, sh sound, which is for example in the word of shop. So that is equivalent to sheen in English. And for transliteration purposes, we will be using sh. And that's it for this session, and we will see you in the next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet, and it is called Sad. So there's bouncing effect at the end, but we will explain, that's one of the properties of dal, but we will explain that in one of the lessons about that property. It's called qalqala. So how to pronounce it is Sad. The sound is sa. Sad. The sound is sa. So the articulation point, it is one of the lisan, the tongue letters. Okay, and it is the articulation point. Okay, if you see here, the tip of the tongue, that's the tip of the tongue, that's one place near the inner plates of the top 2 incisors. So near the inner plates of the top 2 incisors, slightly above the lower incisors. Okay, slightly above the lower incisors. See here. So the first one is the tip of the tongue here, near the inner plates here, and this one is slightly above the lower incisors. So a small space is left when we are pronouncing it. Okay, so there's all the 3 different points of explaining the articulation point for Sad. Let me go to the 3D model and see we can show you better. Graphical representation. Okay. Okay. So the articulation points for this is, that is the tip of the tongue. Okay, near the inner plates of the inner place near the top incisors, and slightly above the lower incisors. Those 3 points are the articulation points when we're pronouncing the word, the letter Sad. Sa. Okay. So is it a light or heavy letter? It is heavy letter. So when we're pronouncing it, we don't make the smiling smiley face when we are pronouncing it. For example, Sad, Sad, and the sound is Sa, Sad. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connecting letters. Okay, because if you see its connecting forms, then you will see that If it is written in the beginning of a word, then you can connect other letters with it. If it is written in the middle, then you can connect other letters before, after it. Okay. And if it is written at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it, other letters before it. Okay. So that is actually the properties of connecting letter. So how it is written, let me read out and then we will do it practically. So it is written by beginning the loop at the end, at the lower left from slightly below the line. Okay. Moving up, okay, let me write it down and then explain that. I think that's better. It is written beginning the loop of the, okay, so it is from here, okay, moving up and to the right, moving up to the right, then circling down, and back to the round. So we have back to the round here, to the left, creating a pearl or a teardrop. So we have created a pearl or teardrop now, followed by a large circular U. So now we have to follow by large circular U. That's Sad. Okay. So if you see other forms, that would look like this, similar teardrop shape. Okay, if it is in the beginning, in the middle, it would look like this. And at the end, it would look like this. Okay, so that's different shapes of writing. So we can connect these. Okay, we write it down. Okay, it's different types, different. If it's connected, then we have to write it like this. So okay, so for transliteration purposes, we will use the letter S underscore, because we have already used the S for sin, so we will be using S underscore for Sad. So the English equivalent for this one, this letter is S, as in the words Sad, Sob, or So. So these are, the sound are similar to the sound of Arabic Sad. So that is the end of this session. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet that is called Dad. Okay, how to pronounce it? It is Dad, Dad, and the sound is D. Or if you connect another letter with it, that would make more sound, more sense. Ald. So the second part of Ald is the sound of Dad. Ald, Ald. So what is its articulation point? It is one of the tongue letters, and it is pronounced from one or both edges of the tongue, and when it's touching the upper molars. Okay, so that is one or both sides of the tongue. Okay, you can see here as well. And when those parts touching the upper molars, okay, that causes the sound of Dad. Similarly here, this diagram, and the teeth here. Okay, let me explain. Let me go to the 3D model and explain it there. Okay. So we have one or two sides of the tongue, okay, and they are touching the top molars. Okay, so that's the articulation point for the letter Dad, or Ab, the sound Ab, the second part of Ab. Going back to the slides. Okay. So is it a heavy or light letter? It is one of the heavy letters. When we are pronouncing it, then we don't make the facial expression as if we're going to smile, or our mouth or the lips doesn't remain flat. For example, bode, bode. Or if we see the sound, ab, the second part, ab, ab. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connectors, because if you see its connecting forms, then you can see that it can be connected from other letters can be connected after it if it comes in the beginning of a word. Okay, if it comes in the middle of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it or after it. And if it is in the end, at the end of the word, then you can connect other letters with it before it. So because you can connect all these four, that is the property of a connecting letter, a connector. Okay, so how it is written? It is written, let me read it through and write it down. But it is written by beginning the loop at the lower left from slightly below the line, moving up and to the right, then circling down and back around to the left, creating a pearl or teardrop. So let me explain that here. So we start here, up, round, back to the left, and then at the end we include a large circular U. Okay, and then one dot on above it, one dot above it. Okay, that's how it is written. And if we want to write other forms, we see the first part is on the top of the line and the other one is under the line. So other forms would be, if it comes in the beginning of a word, looks like this. If it is in the middle, here, and if it comes at the end, okay. So can we connect it? Can we connect them? Yes, we can. It's connect because they are connectors. One of the connectors, so we can. Okay. So that's how we write it. It does not have English equivalent. The sound for both does not have it in English. And for transliteration purposes, we will be using D underscore, because we have already used the D sound for dal, so we will be using D underscore. This is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Ta. Ta. The sound is Ata. Ata. Ta. Ta. So it is the articulation point. It is one of the tongue letters. Lisan is the makhraj for it, and it is pronounced from the top part of the tip of the tongue and the gum lines of the top two incisors. So that's the we have the tip, and this is the top part of the tip of the tongue, and then we have the gum lines of the top two incisors. That's the gum line of the top two incisors, top side of the tip of the tongue and the gum line of the top two incisors. So let me go to the 3D model and explain it further there. Okay, so let's see. So if you see here, so this is the tip of the tongue, Okay, and we will be using the top side of the tip of the tongue, the top side of the tip of the tongue, and we will be using the gum line of the top two incisors. So this is incisor 1, incisor 2, and these are the the gum lines of the top two incisors. Okay, and back to the slide. So is it a heavy or light letter? It is one of the heavy letters, because when we are pronouncing it, then the state of our mouth doesn't remain flat. For example, paw, paw. Or if we connect it with other letters, for example, at, ato, ato, ato. The second part of ato is the sound of ta, ato, ato. So is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connectors, because if you see its connecting forms, it fulfills all the property of a connecting letter. If it comes in the beginning of a word, then you can connect other letters with it after it, and if it comes in the middle of a word, then you can connect other letters with it, other letters before it or after it. And if it comes at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it. So that's it's fulfilling the conditions of connectors. Okay. How it is written? It is written, let me see. Okay, it is written by beginning the loop at the lower left. Okay, moving upward to the right, then circling down and back around to the left, creating a pearl or a teardrop. Let me explain that to you. So we start from here, up to the right, and then back to the left here, and then next is a vertical stroke added at the end. Okay, then what we do is a vertical stroke added here. So that's how it is made here. If you see other forms similar to that, okay, connect other letters with it after it, and the other one is like this. Okay, and the final one is I think there is another way of writing as well. Sometimes if people can write like this as well. So I think you can have other ways of writing as well. Okay. So we can we connect it? Yes, we can. Let's connect this. Okay, we can connect it. And if you want to write connecting, okay, sorry. That's the book way of writing, but I would prefer personally is like, I think this is more easier. Okay, it's the second way of writing, which is not mentioned in one of the books I've used. Okay. So what is the English equivalent? It is similar to T, but not the same, but similar. It's similar to T in English. So for transliteration purposes, we will be using T underscore. It's because we have already used T for ta, and this is ta. So that's light letter, and this is heavy letter. That is ta, this is ta. Okay, so you can see the difference. So this is the end of this lesson. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called dha. Dha. The sound is ad. Ad. It's the second part of ad. Ad. So it is called dha, and the sound is ad. Makharij. It is one of the lisan, the tongue letters, and its articulation point is tip of the tongue from the top side of the tip and bottom edges of the top two incisors. So tip of the tongue, okay, we have the tip of the tongue from the top side So we use the tip of the tongue, but the top side of the tip of the tongue, and the bottom edges of the top two incisors. So it's going to touch the bottom edges of the top two incisors. So this is incisor 1, this is incisor 2, and it's going to touch the tip of the tongue from the top side. It's going to touch the edges, the bottom edges of the two incisors when the sound for dha is produced. Similarly, you can see here, that's the tip of the tongue from top side, and this is the bottom edges of the top two incisors. Let me explain that with 3D model. So we have the tip of the tongue, that's the tip of the tongue, but from the top side. This is the top side of the tip of the tongue here. Top side of the tongue. And we're going to touch the the bottom edges of these two incisors. This is incisor 1, incisor 2, top ones, and they're going to touch the bottom edges of the top two incisors when we're producing the sound of al or dha, al. Okay. I hope that should help. Go back to next. Okay. So is it a heavy letter or light one? It is one of the heavy letters because when we are pronouncing it, then our mouth or lips doesn't remain in the state of as if you're going to smile or flat. For example, if you pronounce it dha, dha, al, al. Okay. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connectors because if you see its connecting forms, they fulfill the condition of a connector. So in the beginning form looks like this, and if it is written in the beginning, it can other letters can be connected with it, and if it is in the middle, then other letters can be connected with it before or after, and if it is written at the end, then other letters can be connected with it before it. Okay, so that's the connecting form, how it is written. So it is written by beginning the loop at the lower left. So as we start from the lower left, moving up and to the right, moving up to the right. Okay, start here, moving up to the right, then circling down. So we're circling down back to the left, and then we a vertical stroke. So this is a teardrop now, so we put vertical stroke there. As explained before, that you can write it other way as well. You can start from here and then connect it like this. So that's another way, but that's not mentioned in the book. If it's in the beginning like this, okay, in the middle like this, and at the end like this. Okay, and if you can connect these, you can connect them. Okay, so another way of writing would be like this. Okay, another one, and at the end would look like this. Okay, so whichever is easy for you, you can adopt over one or the other. And we forgot there's one dot on top of it as well. Okay, because to make it different from dha, because dha doesn't have a dot and dha has one dot on top of it. So in English equivalent, it does not have English equivalent for the sound dha. And for transliteration purposes, we will be using Z underscore. I think in the other books they have used different notation, but for this one I'll be using Z underscore to represent the. And this is the end of this lesson. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Ain. It is pronounced as Ain, and the sound is A. It's the second part of A. A. So the articulation point, it is one of the halq, the throat letters, one of the 6 letters. Okay, and it is pronounced from the middle of the throat. So as we said before, we have 2 letters from the lowest part of the throat, far from the mouth, nearest to the chest, and we have the top, which is nearest to the mouth, and we have the middle part. So middle part, ha, ain. So ain is the second letter from the middle of the throat. So how it is pronounced? So you see the muscle of the throat should be tightened. Okay, as the muscle of the throat is tightened here, cause the passage to become constricted. So it's tightened, then the passage is constricted and resulting in a squeezed sound. Ain, a. Okay, that's the articulation point. Okay, so next one is the heavy or light letters. It is one of the light letters because when we are pronouncing it, then our mouth or the lips remain flat or in the state as if we are going to start smiling. Ain, ain, a. Okay, it is difficult for someone who hasn't used those muscles, throat muscles at all. For example, if you speak English, so we don't have equivalent in English, so it will be a difficult one, but with practice you will learn it. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connecting letters, one of the connectors, because if you see its connecting forms, it has, if it comes in the beginning of a word, then it connecting forms allow us to connect other letters with it after it. And if it comes in the middle of a word, then you connect other letters with it before or after it. And if it comes at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it. Okay, so that's it fulfills the condition of a connector. So how to write it? Let me explain that. So it has 2 parts, the top and the bottom, the head and the tail. The head is written above the line, okay, and the tail is written below. Okay, the head is written above the line and the tail is written below. If you've noticed, the head is written like C, small c, and if you see the tail is written like a big C. So it's kind of connecting 2 C's, top and bottom, and different size. Okay, that's C. But if you see in the other forms, then you'll see differently. In the beginning it looks like this, okay, but it remains on the top, on the line. In this case, the top remain on the line and the bottom below the line. But if it comes in the beginning, then it remains on the line, rests on the line. If it is in the middle, then it looks like this. Okay, so you have to know the difference between this and there's another one, another letter coming, meme, so it will be similar. So you should know the difference between this and that when it comes in the middle. Okay, and at the end it should look like this. So in the beginning it stays on the line, in the middle it stays on the line, and at the end the top part stays on the line and the bottom under the line, and you can connect them. Okay, so again you should remember all this in future, because you will see another letter similar to it, so you should be able to differentiate between them when you see them in the real examples. Okay, how to connect it, write it connected like this. Okay, like this. Okay, 3-way connecting all of them the beginning part, middle part, and the end part. So equivalent in English, it does not have. So we do not have equivalent sound for it or a letter for it in English. For transliteration purposes, we will be using this inverted comma sign, but I'll call it ayn sign. So make it easy for you. This is ayn sign. You will see another sign which is similar to it. So you should, if you are using transliteration a lot, then you should know the difference between this sign and that one. Okay, so this is ayn sign. So this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called ghain. It is pronounced as ghain, and the sound is gh. Or if you connect it with hamza fatha, that would be agh, agh. So it's makharij. Makharij is one of the halq, the throat letters, one of the 6 letters, as we explained before. Okay. See here, that's 2 here, 2 here, and 2 there. So it is actually the nearest part of the throat to the mouth, the nearest part to the throat, and we have already used this one for the letter of kha. Okay. And how it is produced? It is produced by narrowing. It is produced by narrowing the passageway between the back of the tongue and the velum. Okay, so this is the velum. Okay, you can see here the velum. So we are constricting the pathway between the back of the tongue and the velum. Okay, and it creates friction when the air passes through. Create the sound of ghain. Okay, so that's the articulation point for ghain. Is it a light or heavy letter? It is one of the heavy letters, because when we are pronouncing it, then our mouth or the lips does not remain in the state of flatness, or in the state as if you're going to start smiling. So for example, if you see my mouth is going to be, looks like this, ghain, gha, agh, agh, ghain, ghain. Okay. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connectors, because if you see its connecting forms, that goes to show that it is a connector, because if you see here, if it comes in the beginning of a word, then we can connect other letters with it after it, and if it comes in the middle of a word, then we can connect other letters with it before it or after it, and if it comes at the end of a word, then we can connect other letters with it before it. Okay, which fulfills the conditions of a connector. How to write it? Okay, so it is written exactly same as ayn, but the difference is it has 1 dot extra on top of it. So it has the head is written above the line, and the tail is written below the line, the imaginary line. Okay, you can see it's like small c here and then big C here. The head is written like an English C, and then from the end of the small c, the larger C is connected, which is below the line, and then we have to have 1 dot above it. How to write it if it comes in the beginning? Looks like this, and it stays on the line, rests on the line. Okay, this one, it stays again on the line, and if it comes at the end, the top part remains on the line, rest on the line, and the bottom under the line. We can connect them because they are connectors. Okay, so fine. Okay, So the English equivalent, it does not have an English equivalent, because in English we don't use those muscles of the throat, so we don't have one. For transliteration purposes, we will be using GH to represent ghain in transliteration of Quran or other texts. And this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Fa. It is pronounced as Fa, and the sound is F. So the second part of F. F. Fa. F. What is its makharij? It is one of the shafatan letters, that lips, or one of the lips letters. Okay. Fa, the inside of the lower lip and the tips of the upper incisors. So we have the inside of the lower lip, so we have the inside of the lower lip, that's the inside of lower lip, and the upper side of the top two incisors. So when you're pronouncing it, that sits on the lower lip, so as Fa, creating a sound Fa. Okay, so that's the upper incisors, the bottom, okay, the tips of the upper incisors and the inside of the lower lip. That's how it is produced, the sound of Fa. Okay. So is it a heavy or light letter? It is one of the light letters, because when we are pronouncing it, then our mouth or the lips remain in the state of flatness and in the state of as if you're going to start smiling. For example, Fa, Fa, F, Fa, F. Okay. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connectors, because you see is connecting forms that fulfill the condition of a connector. So its connecting form in the beginning looks like this, and other letters can be connected with it after it. And if you see if it comes in the middle of a letter or a word, then you can connect other letters with it before or after it. And if it comes at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it. Okay, so because this is fulfilling all the conditions of a connector, hence it is a connector. How to write it? Okay, let me explain that. It is written like a backward E, okay, whose tail extends along the line with upward curve at its end. So how to do it? Let me write it down. So it's like this, and it remains on the line, and at the end extends, and we have one dot at the end. Okay, so if we write it in other forms, that would look like this. Okay, if it comes in the middle, so you have to see you have to differentiate between this one and ghain. Okay, you have to remember. I'll explain that now in a second. Sorry, that's ghain. This one. Fa, if it comes in the end, okay, you can connect them. You can basically connect this one and here this one. Okay, so it would look like this: Fa, another Fa, and another Fa. Okay, so the difference in Fa and ghain is this one. If you see, this one is round and ghain is like this. Okay, ghain. Can you see the difference? So this one is round and this one is not round, it's different shape. So you have to remember those differences when we see in the practical examples. Okay. What is the English equivalent for Fa? It is F. Okay, the sound of F. And for transliteration purposes, we will be using F to represent Fa. Okay. So this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Quranic Arabic alphabet, which is Qaf. It is pronounced as Qaf, and the sound is Aqo, Aqo. So the second part of Aqo. We have the bouncing at the end, but that's one of its property. It's called Qalqala. We will be studying that in future. So the sound is Aqo, Aqo. The second part of Aqo, and the letter itself is called Qaf, Qaf. So its articulation points. Articulation point is, it is one of the lisan, throat, tongue letters, and it is pronounced from the deepest part of the tongue, which is next to the throat, and what lies opposite to it of the mouth, that is opposite, soft palate. So we have, this is the deepest part of the tongue. Okay, so we divide this into two. So this is the side which is closest to the mouth, to the throat, and this is closest to the tongue, to the mouth or to the teeth. Okay, so we will be using this side for Qaf and this side for another letter, which is Kaf. We will discuss that in next session. Okay, so this is the deepest part of the tongue, which nearest to the claws, to the throat, and what lies opposite to it. So its opposite is this soft palate. Here again, okay, make a half this part of the tongue, and what opposite to it of the mouth, that's soft palate. Okay, so that's the articulation point for Qaf. Similarly, here in this diagram, you see here, that's the deepest part of the tongue, and what is opposite to it, that's the soft palate of the roof of the mouth. And let me explain that with 3D model. Okay. Okay, in 3D model, you can see that. So if we see this is the deepest part of the tongue. We divide it into half, and this is this part which is closest to the throat. That will be touching what is opposite to it of the roof of the mouth, that is soft palate. Okay, so that's the articulation point for Qaf, and the sound is Aqo, Aqo, Qaf, Aqo. Okay. So is it a light or heavy letter? It is one of the heavy letters, because when we are pronouncing it, then our mouth or lips doesn't remain in the state of flatness or as if we are going to start smiling. So Qaf, Qaf, Aqo, Aqo. Okay. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connectors, because of its connecting forms, and which fulfills the condition of a connector. Because if it's written in the beginning of a word, then you can connect other letters with it after it. If it is written in the middle, you can connect other letters with it before or after it. And if it is written in the end, at the end of a letter or of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it. Okay, which fulfills the condition of a connector. Okay, how to write it? Okay, it is written like backward E, whose tail extends and below the line. So it's similar to 5, but with 5 remain stayed on the line, but Qaf, the second part, under the line. The tail is under the line, so we can write it like this. Sorry, don't touch this. Okay, 2 dots. And with 5 we had 1 dot. With Qaf we have 2 dots above it. And other forms can be written like this. Okay, it's the beginning of a word, middle of a word, end of a word. Okay, so you can connect them because these are connectors. Okay, write it down here. Okay, what is the English equivalent? It does not exist because we don't use those muscles in English, so it does not exist there. For transliteration purposes, we will be using this, the Q sign to denote off in transliteration. So this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Kaf. It is called Kaf, and the sound is Ak. So it's the second part of Ak. So if you connect the first Hamza Fatha with it as Ak, Ak. Okay. What is the makhraj? So it is one of the tongue letters, lisan letters, and its articulation point is the deepest part of the tongue, okay, towards the mouth, and what lies opposite to it of the mouth. That's the still a soft palate or near the hard palate. Okay, so let's see, explain that now. Okay, so the deepest part of the tongue, if we have, this is the deepest part of the tongue, we divide this into two. So this side is towards the throat, and this side is towards the mouth or towards the teeth. So we will be using this side, and this is going to touch what is opposite to it of the roof of the mouth, which is the soft palate, but towards the hard palate. Okay, so if you see here again, if you divide into two, the deepest part, the part which is closer to the teeth, that will be used to touch what is opposite to it of the roof of the mouth, okay, of the soft palate, and it's towards the hard palate. The Qaf was just down there, and the Kaf is a bit upper. You can see here, and soft palate touching here. Okay, so this is the articulation point for Kaf, or the sound Ak, Ak. Okay, let me go to the 3D model and explain it there. Okay, see, it's the tongue. So that's, we have the deepest part of the tongue. This part, this side is towards the mouth or towards the teeth, so that will be touching what is opposite to it, the soft palate. Okay, what is opposite a soft palate will be touching the opposite of the deepest part of the tongue. So that's the articulation point for Kaf or Ak. Kaf, or the sound is Ak, Ak. Okay, going back to slides. So is it a heavy or light letter? It is one of the light letters because when we are pronouncing it, our mouth or the lips remain in the state of flatness, or as if we are going to start smiling. For example, Kaf, Kaf, Ak, Ak, Kaf, Ak. Okay, so is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connectors. It is one of the connector letters because if you see its connecting forms that fulfill the condition of being a connector. See here, if it is the beginning of a word, you can connect all the letters with it after it, and if it is in the middle of the word, then you can connect all the letters with it before or after. And if you see if it's at the end of the word, then you can connect all the letters with it before. Okay, So it's fulfilling all the condition of being a connector, hence it is a connector. Writing, how to write it. See, it is written with 2 strokes. Okay. Okay, let's explain that. First stroke is a vertical downward stroke followed by a horizontal extension to the left with a slightly upward curve at the end. Okay, and it stays on the rest on the line and not below the line. Okay, so the first part is like this. Okay, that's the first part. The second stroke is like stretched S. It's like this. Okay, it's like this. You will see you can have different forms of writing. So that's one form of writing, and you can see if they are in different state, you can write differently as well. Okay, let me write it down. You can start like this, and then you can put another bar connected like this. Okay, so that's cough, or you can start it like this as well. So both ways acceptable. You start it like this and then connect, or you start with the bar and then connect it downwards. So that's okay. Next one is like this. Okay, or then last one is as if it's in the end. Okay, so maybe sometimes you will see like this as well at the end, some cases. Okay, because it is connector, so you can connect them. Okay, it's probably better green one. Okay, different forms. Okay, so what is the English equivalent for kaf? It is K. That's representation in English equivalent. What is a transliteration? What is the representation for transliteration purposes? It is K. So we're using the K sign for to represent kaf in text of Arabic. So this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this lesson, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Lam. Lam, and the sound is L. So the second part of L. Lam, L. Okay. So what is its articulation point? It is one of the tongue letters, lisan letters, and the articulation point is, it's quite detailed, but I'll explain it to you one by one. It's okay, one point by point. Okay, so the nearest part of the side of the tongue is the nearest part, and nearest to the mouth. Okay, the second part is, okay, that's the first part. So the top is called the nearest part as well. So if we divide, again we divide the tongue in few parts. So the first part would be the tip of the tongue, and then we have the top of the tongue, or it's called the nearest part as well. Okay, and then the other one would be, this would be middle of the tongue, and this is the deepest part of the tongue. Okay, green. Okay, so this part, the first one is the tip of the tongue. This one is the top of the tongue, or the nearest part of the tongue. This is the middle part of the tongue, and this is the deepest part of the tongue. So it says from the nearest part of the side. So it's actually from here to here, or from here to there. It's referring to that. And at the end of its tip, so it's referring to that from here to there. Okay, the tip. What lies opposite to it of the gum of the first top two inside of premolars. So whatever lies opposite to it. So if you see here, start from here to there. Two upper premolars, this one and that one. Okay, that's premolars. And then upper canines. This is a canine, this is a canine. And two upper lateral incisors. So this is lateral incisors, and this is lateral incisors, and then the last ones are the front incisors. So this is 1 and this is 2. Okay, so these are the names of those teeth. And the articulation point, okay, its articulation point is the front edge of the tongue, and that's the front edge of the tongue when it's connecting that part. Lam, L, that is the articulation point. You can see here. And that's the opposite to it. Okay, so let me explain that into in 3D model, but just let me write it. Let me explain it again. So instead of going from that side, we're going backwards. That would be the 2 incisors, the front 2 incisors, okay, these ones, and then we have the lateral incisors, this one and that one, and then we have the canines, and then we have the premolars, okay, the upper premolars, so all the upper side of the mouth. Let me explain that again with 3D model. Okay, it's better. So from the nearest part of the tongue, this is where it to the top, to the tip of the tip of the tongue. Similar here. See another color, it's probably better. Okay, and then it's going to touch the gum lines of, this is the incisor, the top incisors, these are the lateral incisors, okay, and these are the canines, okay, and these ones are the premolars. So it's going to touch the tip of the tongue, front tip of the tongue, to the gum lines of these teeth. Okay, that's the articulation point for lam, or the sound L. Okay, going back to slides. Okay, here. So is it a heavy or light letters? It is one of the letters that can be light sometimes, and other times it can be heavy, depending on the situation when it is used. So it's only heavy with the lafzul jalal, that's the name of Allah, Allah, and it is only heavy with the name of Allah when it's the lam preceded before the lam preceded by fatha or dhamma, not with kasra. So if it's Allah, Allah, if it's illa, that's light. So the lam is only heavy in one condition, one state, is when it is in the lafzul jalal, as the name of Allah, and it is preceded by fatha or dhamma. In other conditions, it is light. Okay, so when it is light, then our mouth will remain flat when you're pronouncing it, or we will have the condition of as if we are going to start smiling. L, lam, L, L. And if it's heavy, for example, Allah, then it doesn't remain in that position. Allah, Allah, and illa is again light. Okay, so this is one of the letters that have both properties as lam, ra, and alif. They can have both, sometimes lightness in them or heaviness in them. Okay, is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the characters, because if you see its connecting forms, this one, you can connect other letters with it, after it, and if it's in the beginning, If it's in the middle, you can connect other letters before it or after it. Okay, and if it is at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters with it before it. So if you see, it fulfills all the condition of being a connector, hence it is a connector. How to write it? Okay, let me explain that. So it is written in a single stroke, in a single downward vertical stroke, single downward vertical stroke extending below the line in a rounded L shape. Okay, so it is written like this. Okay, and if you see here in other forms, if it is in the beginning, then it stays on the line. Okay, the top part. Okay, if it is in the middle, like this, and if it is at the end, so the top part remains above the line and the bottom below the line. Can we connect it? Yes. Go in here, connect this one. So that would be like this. Sorry, 3 lamps. Okay, so that's the different forms of writing. Next one would be, what is the English equivalent for lamb? It is L, and the sound of L, it is equivalent to lamb. And for transliteration purposes, we will be using L as well to represent lamb in text, Arabic text. So this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet that is called Mim. Mim, and the sound is second part of Mim. Okay, what are the makharij? So it has 2 makharij. It is pronounced with the lips, from the lips, kind of closing the lips, Mim, and similarly that's the shafatan, and similarly it has al-khayshum, the nasal passage as well, when it is pronounced as a ghunna, with ghunna. So that's, you have to close the lips and the sound, the A goes through the nose. Okay, let's see. So the lips, we close the lips, Mim, and same time we have the sound coming from the ghunna. Ghunna is the property of 2 letters, Mim and Nun. So if you hear someone who has been giving ghunna to every other letters, that is wrong, because we see some people, they recite Quran and everything comes from the nose. That's wrong, because the ghunna is the property of only 2 letters, that's Mim and Nun. Okay, so that's khayshum. Next one is, okay, so is it a heavy or light letter? It is one of the light letters, because when we are pronouncing it, then our mouth or the lips remain flat. For example, Mim, Mim, Mim. Okay, so it's one of the light letters. So is it a connector or non-connector? It is a connector, because it, if you see its connecting forms, that fulfills the condition of a connector. For example, if you see, if you have Mim in the middle, in the beginning of a word, then you can connect other letters with it after it. And if you have it in the middle, then you can have other letters before it or after it. Okay, if you have it at the end of a word, then you can have other letters before it. Okay, which these are the properties of a connector. so hence it is a connector. Okay, so how it is written? It is written single stroke. Okay, and stroke begins at the left above the line, so the top part above the line, and makes the rounded triangle. Okay, as you see, that's the right triangle, rounded triangle, and goes below. So the next part is below the line. Let's try that one. This. Okay, so if you connect this part or not, then both of them. Okay, so connected and connected meme. And other forms. So in this one we started from here and went up there, but in this one we have to see we start from below and then go up. So that's if it's in connecting, if it's in the beginning of a word, in the middle, okay, and in the end, okay, or you can write it like this as well. Okay, so we can connect them. Okay, start like this. Okay, so that's the writing of meme. English equivalent, so it has English equivalent. The sound of m sound is equivalent to meme in Arabic. For transliteration purposes, we will be using m to represent meme. And this is the end of this session. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet, and that is called Noon. It is called Noon, and the sound is N. N. Noon. N. Okay. So articulation points. So it has two articulation points. The first one is lisan, the tongue, and we will explain one by one. Okay. So if you see here, okay, so from the top, from the tip of the top, from the tip of the tongue and what lies opposite to it. So from the tip of the tongue and what lies opposite to it, okay, that's the roof of the mouth, the gum of the two top incisors, okay, this place, and slightly beneath the articulation point of lam. This is for noon when it is not hidden. So hidden noon has multiple uses. So this is only when noon is clearly pronounced. Then this is the articulation point. Okay, so that's the tip of the tongue, and this is the place on the gums of the top two incisors. So you can see here. That's the tip of the tongue and the gums of the top two incisors. This is when the noon is pronounced clearly. When in other case, when it has ghunna attached to it, then the articulation point is al-khayshum, the nasal passage. Then the sound goes through that as well. It has multiple uses, but we will have maybe few lessons on it, not one, because it has a lot of uses of noon. There has a lot of rules attached to noon sakina, tanween, etc. This is just the basic. Okay, so the basic is the tip of the tongue and what is opposite to that, the gum of the two top incisors. When it's clear and when it is with ghunna, then the khayshum, the nasal passage, is involved in there as well. Let me explain that with the 3D model. Okay. Okay. So we use the tip of the tongue as the one point, and that's the gum line of the top two incisors. Okay. That's the articulation point when the noon is pronounced clearly. And when it is not clearly, then with ghun and stuff, then you have other makharij involved in there. Okay, so we can't do that on here 3D diagram, so we have explained that in previous slide. So is it a heavy or light letter? It is one of the light letters, okay, because when we are pronouncing it, noon is actually na. We can't, when you're pronouncing the word itself, noon, then it doesn't make we can't make that our facial expression to the smiling one. But when we pronounce the sound an, so we can see the mouth is flat. An, so it is one of the light letters. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connecting letters. It is one of the connectors, because if you see in the other slide, if you see it's a form in the beginning of a word, then you can connect other letters to it next after it. And if it is in the middle of a word, then you can connect other letters before or after it. If it is at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters before it as well, which is the property of connectors, connecting letters. Hence it is a connector. How to write it? See. Okay, so it is written. Okay, it is written below the line. Okay, all of it below the line as a circular U with a dot between the upper arms. Okay, so let me explain it to you. That. So start from here, and the dot is here. Okay, that's how you write it when it is on its own. In the beginning, it would look like this. It stays above the line, and if it's in the middle, it's like this, and if it is at the end, it's like this. So we can connect them. Okay, so let's try again. Noon, 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 it's noon, it's noon, it's noon. Okay, this is how we write it. The English equivalent, it is the N, and the alphabet N is the English equivalent for noon when it is pronounced clearly. For transliteration purposes, we will be using the letter N to represent noon. Okay. So this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshallah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Waw. It's pronounced as Waw, and the sound is Aw. For example, is there are two sounds actually. When it's used as a consonant, that's Aw, and when it is used as a vowel, that's Oo. So there are two sounds for Waw. We'll explain that here, inshallah. Okay. So it has two articulation points as well. The first one is when this is written as mad, but it's actually mad, non-mad. Non-mad means when it's not lengthened. So it's written like in English as mad, but it's pronounced as mad. Okay. The Waw, when it is not, when it's unlengthened and with its consonant used as a consonant, then it is articulated from forming a circle of two lips without meeting them, and it would. So if you see here, okay, that's Waw. This is Waw. So the main force is here on the lips, and nothing else is involved. And when it is, the sound will be Aw, Aw. That's when it is consonant. But when it is a vowel, then it's al-jawf. Al-jawf means the empty space between the mouth and the throat. That is its articulation point, and it is pronounced as oo, as a vowel. Okay, so that's the difference in different usage of vowel. One is consonant, one is vowel. Okay, and different articulation points for both of them. For consonant, you use, for both of them, use lips, but the other parts are not involved, and focus is on the lips. And for the mad, it is the rest of the empty space of the mouth and the halq, the throat. Okay, so is it a light or heavy letter? It is one of the light letters. Okay. Is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the non-connectors, which means that if we go to the next slide, so if we see the different connecting forms, for example, if it is used in the beginning of a word, then you can't connect anything after it, any other letters. If you use it in the middle of a word, then you can connect something as another letter before it, but not after it. And similarly, if you use it at the end, you can connect another letter before it. Okay, so since this is the property of the non-connectors, hence it is a non-connector. How to write it? Let's explain that. So it is written like backward E, the E in English, and upper part remains on the line, and the lower part remains below the line. You can see that start from here. Okay, as well, it's like opposite backward E. And if you see, the other forms are, if it's written in the beginning of a word, like this, in the middle, like this, and at the end, like this. Okay, so that's how we write it. So the English equivalent for wow is there are two. If it is written as a consonant, as in the word wonder, so wow, that's equivalent to wow if it is used as a consonant in Arabic. But if it is used as a vowel, then it's oo sound in English. Oo, double O. Oo, that's equivalent to wow when it is used as a vowel. For transliteration purposes, we will be using W for wow when it is a consonant, but we will be using double O when it is a vowel. Okay, let me explain that again. So W when the vowel is used as a consonant, okay, and double O when the vowel is used as a vowel. When do we have this sound is whenever in Arabic we have a vowel and before that is a letter, but that letter has a dhamma. Dhamma is this sign. This sound, this is called a short vowel, dhamma, and this sign is called dhamma. And if that sign is on top of the letter before it, then that will transform the vowel into a long vowel. So that will become oo. But anything apart from that, if you have any other letter which has just dhamma on its own and it's not followed by a vowel, then it's going to be considered as a short vowel. It's going to be only o instead of oo. For example, if it's hamza dhamma waw sukoon, that would be oo, so 2 counts. If it is hamza dhamma o only, then that would be o sign 1 count. So as o, this is oo, 2 counts. So single short vowel hamza dhamma, for that we use u sound, u sign, but for long vowel we use double O, and the sign is called dhamma. Okay, so this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet, and that is called ha. So it's different than ha. Ha is different as another articulation point with another articulation point, and this is called ha, and the sound is ah, ah, the second part of ah. Okay, so the articulation point for ha is, it is one of the throat letters, one of the 6 letters of the throat letters. Okay, okay, so if you see here, we know that the throat is divided into 3 parts. Okay, and that is the deepest part. So the deepest part of the throat, meaning the farthest from the mouth, that's the farthest from the mouth and closest to the chest. So the next is is the chest. Okay, that's the articulation point. And if you see here, in that case, if you see in her, the vocal cords are slightly open compared to another one, hamza, that's kind of almost closed. So the vocal cord remains slightly open, but it is pronounced from the deepest part of the throat. As the sound is ah, and the letter is ha. Okay, different than ha. Next one is, okay, so is it a heavy or light letter? It is one of the light letters, because when we are pronouncing it, then the mouth our mouth goes into the state of as if we are going to start smiling. Ha, ah, ha, ah. Okay, is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connecting letters, or one of the connectors, because if you see its connecting states, connecting forms. Okay, if it's written in the beginning, it looks like this. The shape is slightly different. We will draw it when we come to next slide, inshaaAllah. Okay, if it's written in the beginning, it looks like this, and it can be, other letters can be connected to it after it. If it's in the middle, you can connect other letters with it before or after it, and if it is at the end, then you can connect other letters before it. So since it fulfills the condition of connecting letters, that therefore it is a connector. Okay, how to write it? Okay, so it is written somewhat around a teardrop. Okay, around a teardrop, and it rests on the line. Let me draw it. So if it is unconnected, separate form, it is written like this. Okay, that's when it's separate. If it is in the beginning, it looks like this. You have to draw it like this. That's how you draw it in the beginning. And in the middle, it looks like this. Okay, the middle, and at the end looks like this. Sometimes you see differently as well. Sometimes in the middle it is written like this. Okay, you will see in the Quran sometimes it is written like this as well. Okay, so we can connect it, this one here, this one here. Okay, and draw it here again. Okay, different forms. Okay, so you can write it like, we draw it like here, so it's like this, or we can write it like this. 2 ways of writing. Okay, in the middle. 3 ways of writing in the middle. Okay, so what is the English equivalent for ha? It is h, because we don't have for ha, but for ha we do have in English for h. Okay, so hello or happy. For transliteration purposes, we use the sound h to represent ha. Okay, so that is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet that is called Hamza. Hamza, and the sound is a. Hamza, sound is a. Okay, so what is the articulation point? So the articulation point for Hamza is the deepest part of the throat. As we explained before, that we have three parts of the halq, the throat, and this is from the deepest part, that is closest to the chest. Okay, closest to the chest, you can see here. And in Hamza, what happens is the vocal cords are almost closed when we're pronouncing Hamza, Hamza, sound. Okay, so it is almost closed. That's the articulation point. That's the deepest part of the throat, near to the chest. So is it a heavy or light letter? It is one of the light letters, because when we are pronouncing the sound then we make our mouth or the lips flatten in the shape of it remains flat, or as if we are going to start smiling. So al, ak, akh. So if you connect them with others, the first a sound is for Hamza. So is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the non-connectors. Why? Because if you see here, yeah, this is a bit going to be difficult to understand, but let's try. So in the beginning, if you see Hamza, it's mainly either sits on alif or underneath. So it uses alif as a chair or a seat, and it is uses in the beginning either above alif or below alif. So you can't connect other letters with it after when it comes in the beginning. If it comes in the middle, it uses chairs as well. For example, in this case, you can connect other letters before it, and it uses alif as a chair here. It uses waw as a chair here. It uses ya as a chair here, and you can see this is underneath as well. And sometimes you can see them. You can use it as independently as well in the middle of a word. Okay, but you cannot connect other letters after it. So you can connect letters before it if it in these conditions, but not in this one, and not after it. You can connect only in this form. You can connect that in this form, or other letters after it as well. So in a way, it is some states, some forms you can connect, and other forms you can't. Similarly, if you see here, it uses the other letters as a chair or seat, and it can be independently written as well. Okay, so you will see the uses of these chair in Quran text. Okay, how to write it? Let me explain that. Okay, so it is written, sometimes it is written above or underneath. You can see here, sometimes it is written above or underneath the letters. Okay, and these ones are called, as we explained before, these are called chairs. So those chairs, they don't contribute their own sounds to the letter, but it is used as a chair, and it is written like this. Let's see. When on its own, it is written like this. Okay, in the beginning, you just write alif, and you write on top of it or under it. Okay, if it's under it, then it goes below the line. It's under it, and on the other forms, okay, the other one here. So we are putting Hamza on the chairs or the seats. Similarly, this one. Below it. And sometimes you can write like that as well. So the middle and the end, they are the same. Okay. You will see all these in real text. That's why I put all the examples there, so you're aware of them. Similar to, okay, so what is the equivalent of Hamza in English? It is the glottal stop in English. For example, in the word eat, ate, out. So the first bit is that the sound is similar to the sound in Arabic, the glottal stop. Okay, for transliteration purposes, we will be using the apostrophe sign. I'll just call it a Hamza sign as compared to Ain sign. Okay, so that's Hamza sign and that's Ain sign. So this is the end of this lesson. We will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. In this session, we will be studying another letter of Arabic alphabet. It is called Ya, and it has multiple sounds. One is A, second one is E, the third one is A. The second part of all of those words, A, E, A. So the first two are long vowels, and the third one is used as a consonant. So what are the articulation points for Ya? They are multiple. Okay, when when Ya is used as alif maqsura, then the articulation point is the empty space between the mouth and the throat, and the position of the tongue looks like this, and the sound is double A. Okay, so that's when Ya is used as alif maqsura, a long vowel. So this alif maqsura, it means shorten alif. Alif maqsura, that's in English it's called shorten alif. That's the first one. The second one is when the Ya is used as another long vowel. It is E, and it is normally Ya, and before that is a kasra. So it's a hidden sukoon, and the letter before it has kasra. That's another sound. It's called E. We will explain this in the following session as well in more detail. So the second one is the long vowel Ya as a long vowel, and the sound is E, and the articulation point is the empty space between the mouth and the throat, but the tongue position is like this. So the difference is when Ya as alif maqsura, the tongue position is this, and when it is E, then the position is like this. The third one is when the Ya is used as consonant. Then the articulation point is different. That's the middle of the tongue and what is opposite to it. But we will explain this in the following session. So this part is explained in the following session, and these two are here. So is it a heavy or light letter? It is one of the letters that can have both properties. So if we use Ya as a consonant, then it is light. But if we use it as a vowel, then if the letter before it is heavy, then it is heavy. But this Ya is heavy. But if the letter before it is light, then this Ya is light. So it has both properties. It has heaviness in it sometimes, and sometimes lightness. So is it a connector or non-connector? It is one of the connecting letters. Why? Because if we see its connecting forms, that proves that that goes to show that it is a connector. So if it comes in the beginning of a word, then you can connect other letters with it after it. If it comes in the middle, then you can connect other letters before or after it. If it comes at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters before it. You won't see these forms in real text, because normally it is either written like this with two dots, Yeah, or it is written like this, something on top of it. It is used as a chair. Similarly, in the middle, either you will have two dots under it, used as a Ya, other form of Ya, or you will have something on top of it used as a chair. Okay. So how to write it? It is written. It has two parts. The top part is written above the line, and the bottom one below the line. So the top part above the line, and the bottom one below the line. Okay. Other forms can be written like this. In the beginning it looks like this, in the middle looks like this, and at the end it looks like this. Can we connect them? Yes, we can, because it's a connector. But again, just to repeat that, you won't see this in the real text. Either it will have something underneath or something above. Okay, or sometimes you have this one, as if it's alif maqsura, then you have to have small alif saghira on top of it. Okay, that's how we write it. So what is the English equivalent for yeah? So it has multiple sounds. The first one is when it is used as a alif maqsura, as a long vowel a, another long vowel e, the second part of both of them, and then I or y sound when it is used as a consonant. Okay, for transliteration purposes, we will use, if it is used as a consonant, then we use the y, and if it is used as a long vowel, which is alif maqsura, then it has to be double a, as a, and if it is used as another long vowel e, then it's double e. Okay, so that's yeah, y for as a consonant, and for long vowel we use either a or e. It depends on the situation. Okay, so we will explain this, the meaning of this in the following session, kasra, and what they do. Okay, so this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session. Welcome back to another session of Quranic Arabic recitation with Tajweed rules. So in this session we will be studying the final letter of Arabic alphabet, and that is called ya. The sound is a, e, a, the second part of a, and it has e, another sound, which is, so a is a, when it is used as a consonant non-vowel, and e when it is used as a vowel. And if you see here, you can see two different way of writing, so both are acceptable. Okay, so both are same thing. So it is if you write it like this or that one, but mainly you will see like this. So it is pronounced as ya, and the sounds, there are two sounds. One, if it's a consonant, is a, the second part of a, and if it's vowel, then is e, the second part of e. It is one of the long vowels. Okay, so it has two articulation points, because it has two different sounds. So it has two different articulation points. So if it is non-mad, so it is, again, it's mad, it's not mad, it's non-mad, which is when it is a consonant, then its articulation point is al-lisan, the tongue, as from the middle of the tongue and the roof of the mouth that lies opposite to that position. Okay, so let me explain the top part first. So this is the middle, making green. Okay, that's the middle of the tongue, and that's the middle of the tongue, and what lies opposite to that. So that's when we are pronouncing ya as a consonant, not vowel, as a consonant. For example, a, so the middle of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth that opposite to the middle of the tongue. Okay, that's a. See here as well, that's the middle of the tongue and opposite to that of the roof of the mouth. Okay, so a when it is consonant. That's one explanation. And if it is written as a mud or long vowel, then it has different. Then it's al-jawf. Al-jawf, that's the empty space in the mouth and the throat. That's the empty space in the mouth and the throat. That is its makhraj. For example, e, b, ki, the second part of all these words are the long vowel of long vowel of ya. Okay, so what we can do, we can explain one of them with the 3D model when it is consonant. Okay, so that's the middle of the tongue, that's the roof. Okay, so yeah, when it's consonant, then what is going to happen when we're pronouncing it, then it's the middle of the tongue. Change the color, more clear. Sorry, that's the middle of the tongue, and that touches opposite to that of the roof of the mouth. Okay, so that's the yeah when consonant. I, second part of I, yeah, that is the articulation point for yeah. Going back. Is it a light or heavy letter? It is one of the light letters, because when we pronounce yeah, so our mouth remains flat. Yeah, I, yeah. Next one. Is it a connector or non-connector? So it is one of the connectors, because if you see its connecting forms, then we can see that if it comes in the beginning of a word, then you can connect other letters with it after it. If it comes in the middle of a word, then other letters can be connected with it before or after it. And if it comes at the end of a word, then you can connect other letters before it. Okay, so that's the property of a connecting of a connector. Hence, it is a connector. Okay, so how to write it? Okay, it has, let me explain that. Okay, so its top part rests on the line. It's similar to the one we just used yeah as well. Alif maksura, alif maqsura. Its top part rests on the line and the bottom one below the line, and it has 2 dots underneath. Let me start writing here. Yeah, 2 dots. And other forms would look like this. If it's in the beginning, 2 dots. If it's in the middle, 2 dots. And at the end, 2 dots. Can we connect them? Yes, we can. Connect here, connect there. We can write here again. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how we write yeah. So the English equivalent, you can see different ones. Sometimes you see I, Y, or the E sound. The E sound is for long vowel, but the other one you can see for consonant. Okay. Okay. So for transliteration purposes, if the yeah is consonant, okay, if the yeah is consonant, then we use the Y symbol for it. Okay, that's only for consonant. But when the yeah is used as a vowel, then we use double E sign for it. So when is yeah considered a vowel? Is when the yeah before the letter before yeah has a kasra. So then this yeah will be considered as a vowel. Okay. So this sign is called kasra. Kasra goes under a letter. Fatha goes on top. Kasra goes under. Dhamma goes on top as well. You can see that. And this is called less kasra. Okay, sign is called kasra. And if it's only kasra on the letter and not followed by ya, it's only 1 count. A, for example, hamza kasra A. But if it's followed by ya, ya sukoon, actually there's a hidden sukoon here. We'll explain that in future sessions. So hamza kasra ya sukoon E, so 2 counts. Hamza kasra A and hamza kasra ya sukoon E, 2 counts. Okay, that's the difference between kasra on its own and kasra when it is used with ya sukoon. Okay, there are other signs we haven't mentioned, so I'll just briefly explain those as well. We will discuss that in future sessions, but since this is the last session for Arabic alphabet, for Arabic language, so we will explain that as well briefly. We have already explained the fatha, so that's the fatha sign. Okay, and it is written on top of a word. and it is actually called a short vowel, so that's fatha, and we use alif a for that. Kasra, we just explained that this is a kasra, it is under the letter, and we use I sign for it. And dhamma, this is the sign, this is the sign for dhamma. Okay, so in future lessons, sessions, we will see that when you see double fatha, that becomes fathatain. Okay, it's called, when you have double fatha, it's called fathatain. It causes nunation sound, but we will explain that in future. When you see double kasra underneath a letter, it's called kasratain. And when you see double dhamma above a letter, it's called dhammatain. But the signs, you will see different notation, and these all mean the same. Okay, different way of writing dhamma. And when you see when there is no fatha, dhamma, kasra, or fathatain, dhammatain, when you have none of these signs on a letter, then that's called absence of haraka. Absence of haraka is called sakun. That's called absence of these haraka is called sakun. So again, you can see different way of writing them. So they all mean the same. Absence of haraka, that's called sakun. And shadda, when you double the consonant, is called shadda. So, but still we will explain in future. This is the sign for shadda. That's the doubling of the consonant, and the other one doubling of vowels. So doubling of vowels, the top three, and then doubling of the consonants called shadda. And the other one is called mad. It's written as mad, but it is mad. Okay, because of the transliteration mim fatha dal mad. So this is the sign of mad. Sometimes you see like this as well. Okay, so different notation, but this is mad. That's actually elongation, prolonging something when it comes on top of something. Okay, so that's a brief explanation of different parts. So this is the end of this session. We will see you in next session, inshaaAllah. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.